this webinar series that we've been doing has also been about emphasizing regional and national approaches to this. We've been working alongside Texas and the network to think about the possibilities of how we can bridge our respective work, even across states. And so I'm wondering if you, Leah, if you could speak a little bit more to strategies that would encourage sort of regional and national advocacy on this topic.
Well, if it hasn't been clear yet, we're very focused on local issues, so making change locally. And I think that once we begin to have victories in our own communities around these issues and share them with, similarly minded groups in other communities, in other states, in other regions, then we can replicate what each other is doing and learn from each other's experiences. But I think it all has to start with, it's hard to organize for a cross-state issue. It's easier to organize for something in your own community that is controlled by your city council or your local planning commission. And that's how you start to build, community power and a voice on these issues, get a couple of victories under your belt, and then start to share that with other communities. That's part of, a big reason why in Just Action, for every example of a strategy or policy change that a group could advocate for, we give an example of a community that has successfully done it, because it's really important to learn from others' successes and then try to replicate them. And there's a lot of, important ways to do that, even across state lines. Now, every community is slightly different, every state is slightly different, but there's a lot that's the same. And so we can sort of work with what the opportunities and challenges and obstacles we have in our own communities first, and then start to expand that. Now, given that, we do have some regional, ideas of what can be done. And one is we have a chapter about the affirmatively furthering fair housing process, which is a process that jurisdictions have to go through to get federal funding for community development. And it's a comprehensive regional planning process that is supposed to or required to have robust community participation. And it should include, participation from school districts, from transportation agencies, from housing organizations and agencies, all sort of government agencies that serve the region, all community organizations that serve the region, and public participation. And through that planning process, they identify what the obstacles are to desegregating their region. So it's not just focused on a city, but the entire region, which is important. It's vital to really address segregation because it expands beyond a city's limits. And then what they can do to challenge and reduce those obstacles, and which agency or organization is in charge for each goal or strategy. So it's a very comprehensive planning process that can have a really regional focus. And we give an example from New Orleans that went through one of the first sort of comprehensive affirmatively furthering fair housing processes and identified, over 50 goals that they're now chipping away at to address all the obstacles to desegregation in that region. So that's another way people can get involved in larger efforts outside of their own smaller community.
Absolutely. And hopefully there will be also more instances for folks to get involved, knowing that there's a proposed rule for AFFH under that we should hopefully be hearing about, but soon.
Enacted soon.
Yeah. We're all waiting on